Did you know that Hitler was suggested for the cover of the Sgt Pepper album? A lot has been written about the people on the album cover, but what about the people that are not? Some were flat out rejected, some were omitted for various reasons, and many were obscured. To begin, John suggested Jesus, and this was almost immediately rejected. It was less than a year since his more popular than Jesus controversy, which he spent countless interviews apologizing for. John also suggested Hitler. Some say as satire, others for the same reason he was chosen as Time Man of the Year, his impact, good or bad. John had a certain fascination with him. He even made a sketch about it. Hitler was actually mocked up for the cover, but he was rejected, despite John's opinion. Paul suggested the Marquis de Sade, the guy who wrote of prostitution, sexual violence, blasphemy, who had the term sadism named after him. Why was he suggested? Well, it might be because he was a critic of institutions and a proponent of absolute freedom. Whatever the reason, he was a non-starter. As a side note, we all know the chord at the end of Day in the Life. But there was an original version, and that was rejected. We'll let George Martin tell you why.
And the result was pathetic.
Gandhi was supposed to be at the right side looking over Lewis Carroll's shoulder, but the chairman of EMI, Sir Joseph Lockwood, stepped in. He was convinced that they wouldn't allow the record to be printed in India. So Gandhi disappeared. Leo Gorcey and Hunt's Hall, the very popular Dead End Kids and Bowery Boys movies that the Beatles grew up with, were both added. But Leo wanted $400, about $4,000 today, and EMI said no. So Leo was painted out, and Hunt's remains alone till the end of time. Probably the biggest omission was Elvis. Yes, the king, but not for any nefarious reason. The boys held Elvis in such high regard that they didn't want him seen as just another face in the crowd. So how about that? No Elvis. Shirley Temple requested to hear the album before she gave her consent. She was the only one to do so. Once she heard it, she gave an enthusiastic yes. But you can only see her eye in her Heidi pose. Not to worry, she appears 2 other times, here and as a Shirley Temple doll, welcoming the Stones. Guess the boys really appreciated her liking the album. Sophia Loren and Marcello Mastroianni were somewhat prominently placed. But once the Beatles' wax figures were added, all that's left is a bit of Marcello's hat. And Albert Einstein, one of the greatest thinkers of this or any time in history, was given a spot of honor in the front row. But then they decided that maybe the Beatles should be in the photo, so everything except his hair disappeared behind John. Finally, Mae West gave a flat no when asked. She famously said, "What would I be doing in a Lonely Hearts Club?" All 4 of the boys each wrote to her saying how much they loved her and wanted her on the album. I guess she said yes. Not bad, being known as the hottest woman on the planet and having the 4 most famous guys on the planet chasing after you.